Hey everyone, Anipod here. So today will be my first ever video of making reviews instead of reactions, or well, I did make some reviews when I first started with YouTube, but that was very short. But this is going to be something new. This is going to be more like reviews of many shows and many episodes that I watched during this week. And so for this uh, video, I'm going to be covering episodes that I've been watching for week 6 of 2025. And I'm not going to go through all the episodes that I've been watching this week because sometimes I might not have anything really that I want to discuss. But I have a few episodes that I watched this week that I want to discuss. So that's how I'm going to do it. And I'm planning to do this more as a Sunday thing each weekend to summarize my thoughts about anime for that week. So anyway, let's get right into it. So the first show and episode we are gonna be discussing, or I'm gonna be discussing, is episode 6 of Ameku Doctor Detective. And I made some notes here to make it easier for me to discuss it. So I want to start by talking about the show overall. It didn't have the best start for me, I think. I think it was okay, but it was a bit slow, and I guess I was kind of annoyed with the main character, Takao, because I feel that she's supposed to be a doctor. She's supposed to cure, to find solutions on diseases on living people. But it felt many times like she was acting more like a police or a detective. I mean, it's called Doctor Detective, so it makes sense. But I still thought it was weird that she was almost acting like a cop instead. But uh, I would say, not that I'm too crazy about it, but I'm still, the show has started to grow on me a little bit more recently, and especially after the latest arc, which I'm going to discuss now. I also want to mention here now, before we get any further, that all the shows I'm going to discuss here now are um, with spoilers. So if you have not watched the episodes, don't watch that specific part. I'm gonna make timestamps too. But anyhow, from in episode 6, we're still covering the whole situation with the people that caught fire out of nowhere. And I know, because they're all blaming Curse, right? But knowing from this anime, this is not a supernatural anime. There are usually logical explanations to why these things happen, and that's where Takao is the one to trying to figure that out. And what we learned in this episode is really, there was something like, I don't remember what it was called, but it was something that they put on matches that were in like the pockets, and that was caused the fire. And apparently, the reason for that was the girl called Hikaru, because she was taking care of her father. But as I understood it, she actually tried to kill her father because her father beat her mother, and she thinks maybe he beat her mother to death. And because the other guy, and I'm gonna get more into that discussion soon, the other guy, who was her friend, maybe he had a crush on her, I don't know, but he didn't do anything. He knew it happened. He witnessed it happen, but he didn't interfere or anything. And because of that, she was quite helpless. No one was there for her. She even said it to him, like, you didn't do anything. You say you were there for me, but you weren't, which is 100% true. Which I guess led to her having to take the drastic movements to do what she did to her father. But unfortunately, that also led to other victims, which I don't think was her. Um, that wasn't meant to happen, if I understood it correctly. But yeah, she went through a lot. She didn't get the help she needed, because this is where I don't like the other guy that was Hikaru's friend, or he was supposed to be Hikaru's friend, because I think he was such a coward, honestly. Like, okay, you don't have to, like if you can go in and interfere when you notice an ongoing violence within the family, or you can report that and be a witness of it, something to help Hikaru. But he decided to stay completely quiet, and I just cannot respect him after that. I just can't. So I was very, very upset with him. Feel very sorry for Hikaru, what she went through in this episode, because like she was in a desperate position. I understand that. I'm not saying it's right, but it could have been prevented if, maybe the guy there who was with Hikaru just picked up the phone and called the police or something like that. That's it. So yeah, he didn't act very correctly here, I think. I think that's what I can say about that show. So we are gonna go on to the next show, which I want to discuss, and that is actually an episode which is episode 5. So I'm gonna edit that. And the episode 5 that I want to discuss is Honey Lemon Soda, which is also an ongoing show that I'm watching. So I would say that I'm probably gonna talk more specifically about only this episode. I wouldn't say this show has been the strongest for me, but it's fine for now, I think. The one thing I can say is about the girl Serena that was in the before, because she had a photo on the main guy, right? I forgot what his name was. Let's see. Mura was his name. So I thought that maybe he dumped her. We don't really know what happened between them actually yet. That's still a mystery. But I was like thinking that, oh, she's gonna be very pissed off with Ishimori when she finds out she's close to Miura, because maybe she's very possessive of him. That's why she was carrying the photo, but it turns out it was something else. I think there was a logical explanation at the end, actually, if I remember correctly, because I think she told everyone at the end. I don't remember exactly what was the reason, but it was something about his picture having some sort of benefit for people. I don't remember. But they still haven't said why they broke up, though, because I still understand it that like she was the ex-girlfriend of him. So I wonder if they're gonna cover that. And I also want to at least applaud Ishimori for what we have seen with her so far, because you notice that in the beginning of the show how she's been struggling, and she is like she was very bullied before, which I think doesn't make any sense at all. And the fact that the bullies still chase her afterwards, being like they are, she obviously had it rough before, and this Miura guy is now, trying to help her, which I think he has, because this is what I noticed in the latest episode, for example, that she tries to take the lead more than she used to. For example, when they were out on the camping or whatever it was, and they were lost, she helped a lot, and she had a lot of the stuff that they needed when it was raining. She carried a big bag, right? And she talks more. She's more open, which is great. She's not as shy as before. And when Serena was about to get slapped, she actually covered the slap. So she has grown a lot, and I really like to see that. And obviously there's also romance between her and Miura. So yeah, we're gonna see how that goes on. The next show I want to cover is also in episode 5, actually, and that is Dr. Stone Science Future. And let's see. I didn't think this show had a very good start, actually. I didn't like the start at all, actually. And I was like at 1 out of 10 at the beginning. Because I was like, okay, we're on the boat, they're getting drunk, they're having a casino and whatever. And we had a whole episode where they played like a casino or something like that. I was like, why? But I guess, they wanted to have something going on while they were on the boat to America, right? But I didn't really like that. But after that, I think the show has started to grow on me, because as soon as they entered America, that's where things got really interesting. And if this keeps up, this could be the best season so far, because now we have like the scientist versus the scientist, right? Senku versus the other American guy, right? And it looks like the other scientist is more developed than they are. I'm guessing they were awake before Senku were awake, maybe. And I'm pretty sure they are the ones that are the Y-Men, right? It hasn't been confirmed yet, but I remember in the first episode when we saw one of the opponents of them, that he was like hiding in the bush, right? And he said something like, "Why did you know?" or something like that. So I'm guessing they are like the Y men, and they were the one who had like this communication with them before. But they obviously has a lot more, have progressed a lot more in their science. So this is gonna be a bit of a challenge, but we'll see how the Team Senku handles this. I did laugh a lot though in the latest episode with Dr. Taiju. I think that was the fact that they're actually buying it too. That was actually very funny. And Dr. Taiju played his role pretty well, actually. I had a good laugh at that. So yeah, I think that's what I want to cover from that episode. Next up is also an episode 5, and that is episode 5 of The Online Shopper in Another World, which has been, despite it being quite generic, it's quite similar to many isekai shows. I still enjoy it a lot, actually. I have a lot of fun watching this one. I just like to see him, purchase his stuff online and then, being this business guy in the other world. That's actually very interesting to me. And now in the latest episode, of course, after they rescued, what was her name? Primula, right? From the bandits. And now the nobles are after him and he has to go on this journey, right? To another. I think that was the reason why he left, right? The journey to another place. He went with the other child and Anemore and the bobcat. So we will see if they meet new people there. But Primula was very heart crushed there at the end, like, "Oh, I'm gonna follow him. Oh, too late. He already went away." That was kind of sad for her, but I guess this is where the story. Maybe they will meet in the future again. I would be surprised if they don't meet in the future again. But I think for now we're gonna see him meet new people and build his business relationships as well. The next one I want to cover is not episode 5, but episode 6, and that is episode 6 of Medalist, which has been really, really enjoyable so far for me. I've had a lot of fun watching this one. And I think I'm gonna mostly cover episode 6 here, right? But I think that was a very nice backstory on Tsukasa in the latest episode. How his life was, how he chose the ski to do this ice skating. And a lot of people said that Inori was too old to do this, but he actually started at his 20s, right? If I remember correctly. So if he can do that, she should have a good chance as well. I like that. And we also have the story with him and this Mrs. Kago, right? The Kago family, and how he was working for them when she was ill, because that's how they met, right? Because she was fainting. At first I thought she was just exhausted, and then I saw like she was bedridden when he was there, and I thought, okay, maybe she has something going on there, and maybe she gonna has an actual serious disease. But then they met at the second bus station, right? And then she looked totally fine. She didn't faint, and she was all dressed up, and I thought that, okay, maybe it was just something temporary. And then she actually passed away. So maybe I thought that was a bit weird, but it was still very, very heavy to see. And I think that he'd never told, because Inori was very curious about his what is it called? His story, right? But I don't think he ever told Inori he told a lot about his story, right? With the Kago family. But I don't think he ever actually told Inori the last part where she actually passed away. I think he skipped that part, because when she heard the story, when they were seeing the scene with her lying there with her face covered, right? Inori was acting all normal. I think he never explained that part to her, actually. Now I gotta say, as a whole, Medalist has been really surprising for me. It's been really enjoyable. I want to go back to episode 5 actually a bit, because that was like such a good CGI too. When there was one of the girls who was skating, I think it was Hikaru who was skating, right? She was the more experienced of the ice skating girls, and when she was ice skating, I think I don't know if they did it intentionally, but they improved the CGI on her ice skating a lot compared to when Inori was skating and the other girl was skating. But when Hikaru was skating, it was like a new quality in the animation, the CGI, which I think fits also when you suddenly see, oh, now it's the experienced one skiing. That's where we're gonna focus our most quality on, and I think that was a good choice. And the quality has been surprisingly good, actually, because I know some people have been very skeptical because it's the studio, I think it's Studio Zangyou, if I'm not incorrectly, that they're not very known to be doing this super well animation. I usually think they're fine, but I know some people are more hard criticism when they comes to the studio, so I think they were more reluctant to the studio than I was. But even they said like, oh, you know what, they're actually doing pretty well here, NG. And yeah, I think there has been some issues sometimes with the CGI. Like I said, when Inuri was skating the first time, for example, it wasn't bad, but it was more noticeable than when Hikaru was skating. But overall, it's been solid, I would say, even more than solid. The humor has been very nice, and I'm looking forward to see more of Inuri and her progress in the ice skating, to see her become the star, hopefully. Right. The next episode that I want to check out, and I don't actually remember I actually didn't make note of the episode. Give me a moment, please. I'm gonna check what number the latest OKITSURA episode had, because that's the one I want to focus on. Let's see, Anilist. I'm gonna do it on my phone because I already have like episode 6. Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. So the next episode that we are gonna cover in this little review video, where is the mouse? Where is the mouse? There it is episode 6 of OKITSURA, which I gotta say, this one is actually one of my absolute favorites this season so far. I really, really love this show. Unfortunately, I've heard other people that I know, other reactors, I'm not going to mention names here, but they have not liked this one. I heard people say they are considering dropping it. They don't like it. I think I also heard the word, quote, terrible. And I just don't understand it. I think this has been such a good show so far. The comedy is very on point. I like how they can make this comedy while we also get to learn a lot more about Okinawan culture, because like I've been to Japan a few times, but I've never been to Okinawa, and to know more how Okinawa works is so interesting for me. And I think they're doing it with such a good way with mixing the humor as well. And we got the romance between the three, the Hina, Kana, and Nakamura, right? And this love triangle that is going on, which I think is very wholesome, is very funny. There have been some CGI issues. Like I said, when I don't mind CGI, but when it's too noticeable and doesn't really fit, that's when I'm a bit concerned. And that has been the case when they have been dancing sometimes, like doing the traditional dances during festivals, etc. But that's a minor issue. As a whole, this has been one of my absolute favorite shows this season. It's been very wholesome, very funny, and I'm always looking forward to more episodes of this show. So going to episode 6 then, there are some things I want to talk about. Let's see. It was a bit slower than what I usually think, but it was still good. And now we got, the whole typhoon, I think it was, right? That is going on over there. And I guess those typhoons are a lot worse than on the mainland Japan, which they also said in the episode. And I'm actually surprised how, because we got the cliffhanger, right, with Kana knocking on the door and how she was able to go there despite the weather, because that was horrible weather. But maybe it's because she lives there, she's more used to it, because she looked totally normal. She was knocking at his door like, hello, here I am. Did she take the bus to him, or how did she get there? Anyway, we're gonna see how, because now his battery died, right? And there's no power at his home. So, maybe this will spark some romance between them. I know a lot of people I know ship Kana and Nakamura. I can't really choose actually, because yes, Kana is the one that taking the most initiative because she's actually the one having feelings for Nakamura. But Nakamura has feelings for Hina, right? But Hina, I guess she's a bit too pure, I think. So, but she's still sweet in her own way. So it's hard for me to really have a favorite ship. I'm like, let's ship everyone, pretty much all three of them, somehow. But we're gonna see how it turns out. Anyway, I really love this show. I'm looking forward to more. Let's see. The next one I want to discuss is an episode 5. Actually, let's see. Then I'm going to go back. Episode 5. Yes. So episode 5 of Sakamoto Days. And here's the thing. I am watching this on Netflix, and that means also that I am sometimes, because I think Netflix is like 1 week behind or something like that. Netflix outside of Japan, at least. So I've not been watching episode 6, which I think has come out probably. But so I want to cover episode 5 at least. I don't have too much to say actually. I think the show has been solid so far, I would say. The one thing I can say about episode 5 is, at least now the wife, because he was afraid, like, if the wife finds out, she's gonna get a divorce. But that was only if he'd kill people. But she, as the wife, should know that he's still being targeted, right, because of his history. And she seems to understand that and wants to help out, which I think is going to be very good for the relationship too. Yeah, the show has been pretty enjoyable for me. I do like the parts where he's like, instead of using the old weapons which he used before when he was an actual assassin, he actually uses like stuff from the convenience store and still managed to do very well. That's very nice. That's very interesting. The one thing I'm questioning though in the latest episode is how he I mean, it's anime, so it's not supposed to have logic, but still, how he went from this fat guy to his normal self again. And not just that, his mustache disappeared. Then he grew the mustache in one day and all his fat came back. Anyhow, it's anime, so I'm not gonna question that too much. The next episode that I want to discuss is episode 5 of the Guild Receptionist, which has been. I wasn't feeling too strong about this one in the beginning, actually, because when you read the title, it sounds like many of the other light novels, right? But as the show has been going on, this one has actually been growing on me, and the humor has hit more for me, and especially when we got to know more about not just focus on the humor, but for some episode, for example, when they were focusing on like a dark past of Alina, for example. That helped a lot. But she's funny. The show is funny. For the latest episode 5, I don't have too much to add more than I thought it was funny how they added the mandrakes from Harry Potter. I directly recognized them. Like, wow, did they have that? Did the author have that approval from J.K. Rowling? I don't know. Or maybe it's something similar, but they call something different and then it's not copyrighted. I don't know. I'm not going to delve in too much into that. But the show is, for each episode, I would say the show is growing on me a lot. And if this keeps going on, I'm really going to like this when it's over. So it's going the right direction, I think, for me. Great. The next one I am actually talking about because I dropped it, but I dropped it at episode 3 because I was a bit behind on this one. Oh, sorry, not 6, 3. And that is, and I also made a communication post about it. 100 Girlfriend season 2. So I wasn't too strong actually about season 1. You guys know that I reacted to it, but I never really felt very strong about it. A lot of other people felt more strong about it. Like, okay, it's supposed to be. I think the show is supposed to be comedy about different Deres and harem shows overall, I think. It's just that I think that this gets maybe a bit too repetitive if this keeps going on. And also, I just don't feel the romance anymore. Maybe you're not supposed to feel the romance because it's supposed to be just comedy, but I just cannot stand this show anymore. I also said it in my when I posted I dropped the show. Like, I dropped this at episode 3, and I didn't even complete episode 3 because I guess the nail in the coffin was me. It wasn't really the episode 3 with the babe when they turn into babies. We also had the breastfeeding scene, and I was like, we don't need that. That was kind of too disturbing for me. So I decided to, yeah, I'm not gonna. Now that's not the only reason I dropped it, of course, because I don't drop just shows for just one thing, but because this one has been very weak for me lately. But I was kind of the nail on the coffin, I guess. And yeah, I'm not gonna keep watching this one. I don't really understand the hype of this one. I think this is the last time I'm gonna talk about this show too. Yeah, not a show for me. I'm done with this show. Um, let's see. We have 2 more episodes to discuss, I think. So the next one. Wait, there are actually some things more I want to cover too in this show. And in the latest episode, I also wasn't a big fan of the maid. I didn't like her, and also the food eating contest that we had a few episodes ago. I didn't like that. Yeah, that's enough about 100 Girlfriend. The next episode I want to talk about is episode 6 of Momentary Lily, which has been a little bit up and down. I would say it's mostly down, actually. Like there are some interesting parts of it. Like I like the cooking sessions, actually. They're usually fun, and the whole, I guess, the humanity is gone and they're trying to go on with everyday life as usual. That's kind of interesting, I think. But it's just like I don't feel it as much as I would have hoped, and it's difficult to also feel the emotions many times, especially when one of the girls died, right? And she was buried. It took them a long time to actually cry about. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna remember her," but it was like completely emotionless. Yeah, this is a very weird show, and I feel sometimes like I'm losing brain cells watching this one, actually, because it's very confusing. And the enemies that they're fighting against, they look like titans, like future titans with Beyblades on their head. I said this before in reactions as well. Now for the episode 6, that was the latest episode though. Yeah, we know what happened. It was mostly focused on the fan service, right? Because like the reason though that they did it, as far as I understood it, was like, oh, we have to prove that we're human, so we have to make these swimsuit videos. I was like, what? There was such a waste though in the water park to not try the water slides, because the water slide looked quite fun, actually. So that was a waste. But yeah, that was a weird episode. Like I still want to see how it ends though. So I'm not gonna drop this one. I still want to see how it ends. Yeah, I guess that's what I can say about that one. Now the next one is an episode I watched today, and I guess that's why I have a little bit more notes about it, and it's also the last episode I want to discuss today, and that is episode 6 of Zangyou, which has been surprisingly enjoyable, I would say. Yeah, so hang on a second. All right. So yeah, it's been surprisingly enjoyable. I really enjoyed the story so far. I think it's a different kind of isekai. An animator going and making these animations to defeat the enemy. I think that's a good, interesting concept. So for episode 6, we clearly can see now that Luke is growing feelings for Natsuko, especially when he's like complaining about it. Oh, he's always like this and that. Obviously he's got the feels for Natsuko. And I think in a slow pace, at least, Natsuko is learning a little bit more about teamwork. Because, we know how it was before she was isekai, right? She wanted to do everything by herself in the office, right? No one could help. She was like the expert. No one else was needed, right? And she's kind of played the same role here in the isekai world, right? Because she got this big superpower that she can just draw stuff and the enemy is gone, right? I guess she had a little bit the same mindset here. But I think lately she's starting to realize now that she needs her team. We especially saw it in this latest episode. And I'm gonna say what I think will happen. To be honest, I don't think she actually died because I don't think I've ever heard of anyone dying because they ate expired food. But maybe she passed out or something like that and had this journey, because I feel like the way I see this show is going is that it might end up with her at the end going back to her old life and having the experience of, teamwork and maybe romance as well, and then complete the story with the help of her team at the studio, right? That's what I think is going to happen, that this isekai trip is going to make her become a better staff at her workplace. That's what I think. So I think maybe she's going to go back and finish the anime as a team. Now in the episode also, when they were fighting the big centipede, we also saw a return of Justice, which I think that was actually quite emotional. I actually had tears watching that one. The children cheering for Justice, and maybe from here Justice is going to be one of the 9 soldiers from here, because obviously Justice has fans. Justice just needs to work on their flying. I'm not sure the gender of Justice actually, but she needs to work on the flying. And also the fire, I think. But they were flying pretty well still. I also wasn't prepared for Unio kicking Luke like that to defeat the boss. That was interesting. But this is also like, we actually saw it in this episode. It was not like, usually, this is actually something I realized now. Usually when we watch Zangyou and we watch Natsuko do her drawings, it's usually with the intention that she herself should fight the enemy, right? But what she did in this episode, instead she draws stairs for her teammates to get up on the top. That's teamwork. That's her doing teamwork with her powers. That's great. Yeah, I think even the people who were swallowed by the centipede worked together. They weren't dead. So, great teamwork episode. And at the end also, when Luke was carrying Natsuko like this, even Justice understood that, okay, there's something going on between them. Yeah, I think that's kind of what I want to discuss today. I kind of discussed everything that I wanted to discuss today of the shows that I'm watching. Obviously, I'm watching more shows and I'm watching more episodes, but the ones that I haven't been covering are shows that an episode I haven't had too much to say about. But they might come in future reviews, so bear with me. Of course, if you have questions, you can always ask them in the comment section. But yeah, this is this is kind of what I'm focusing on doing right now. These kind of review videos, and hopefully you like it. I will also post top 10 together with this video as a communication post. Usually I use Anime Corner for that, but I think this time I'm just gonna write the top 10 in text and then just share it, so I can do it each week. I think that works. Yes, anyhow, hope you guys like this review, and if you have any comments, feel free to leave them. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me, whatever you like. I'm not filtering the comments, as long as it's yeah, as long as it's a good tone. That's all I'm asking. But you can still disagree with me. That's totally fine. Anyhow, that's all I can say for now. So have a nice day. Bye.